Situation comedies, or sitcoms for short, are events that characters on a show get into that bring a sense of comic relief to the viewers. These types of shows were not a new creation yesterday. They've been around for a very long time. Sitcoms were born in the same year as Marilyn Monroe and Route 66. In 1926, Sam and Henry was broadcasted on WGN Radio in Chicago, Illinois. The 15-minute program was very successful until it was revamped in 1928 and was renamed Amos and Andy. It went on to be one of the most successful shows of its kind for that time period. In the late 1940s, the sitcom went to its new home on the television. A lot of the new television sitcoms were adaptations of radio shows that were already in existence. The earliest television sitcoms were broadcast live and were not recorded. In the 1950s, the United States was in for a twist when they had the first African American as a lead on a show. But starting in 1951, there was a show that everyone fell in love with, and especially with a specific girl. I Love Lucy had a good run for about 9 years, and everyone fell in love with her along the way. It was also the first time that a show used a multi-camera setup. Even today, I Love Lucy is still a popular show. A little later, we all grew to love the sheriff in The Andy Griffith Show, which is another sitcom that has stood the test of time. While it was on air, it was one of the top 7 shows, and during its last season finished atop the charts as number 1. TV Guide even rated it the 9th best show of all time in America, even though the show only ran for 8 years. The Big Happy Family in the early 70s became the role model for all American families. Ironically, the Brady Bunch was not as popular when it was originally aired compared to today. That is why it only ran for 5 years originally. It is, however, one of the first sitcoms to have reunions and spin-offs throughout the next 20 years and even had a movie. Dr. Huxtable then burst onto our television screens in the mid-80s. This was completely new, as there was a show finally about an African-American family. It was an instant success, and TV Guide even says it was one of the biggest hit sitcoms in the 80s. It also helped other shows become possible, like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Coming into the present time, we have sitcoms that we do not even need actors for. Some people may have heard of Peter Griffin. Some people would even say that he is a Family Guy. And who could forget the most successful animated sitcom of them all? No! Sitcoms can have an ongoing storyline, meaning that you have to watch from the beginning to the end to follow everything. 2 of the greatest sitcoms came from this format. First off, Seinfeld was respected by many and sadly only had a 9-year run. Although in those years, they were able to produce, according to the TV Guide, the greatest television program of all time. On the other hand, there were a couple of friends that had some very interesting adventures. Throughout their 9 years, they were able to accomplish a great success. It was not ranked very high for all-time programs, but was for their series finale. 52.5 million Americans watched the finale live, which is the 4th most watched finale in television history. Single-camera sitcoms came back into popularity as America got to see the highs and lows of a hospital. Scrubs was one of the most famous hospital shows, but was one of a kind, with it also being a comedy. It was also one of a kind with not only being a single-camera show, but also having a storyline you had to follow. Even in its 9 seasons, it didn't receive the highest of ratings, but was still one of those shows that everyone has seen. Sitcoms have taken over America. Everyone has a show that they follow now or used to follow in the past. We love to dive into the lives of the characters and try to relate to them. And as sitcoms become older, they become classics that younger generations will come to know and love.